My name is Helen Martin. I'm 80 years old. I learned late in life that not everything in my heart belongs in other people's ears. I used to think being open meant being wise. I used to think if something hurt me, bothered me, scared me, or mattered to me, I should say it out loud and let people in. But that was not always wisdom. A lot of times it was just me handing people pieces of myself they had not earned. Some of them judged me. Some of them laughed later. Some of them used what I said as gossip. Some of them smiled to my face and quietly made me feel small. That took me years to understand. So today I want to tell you the 5 things I stopped telling everybody and why that changed the way I live. You see, I did not learn this from books. I learned it from bad conversations, loose tongues, awkward dinners, family moments, church hall talk, and my own regret after saying too much. And number 5 mattered more than all the others, because once money enters the room, people can stop seeing you and start seeing what they can get from you. Let me explain. Peace is expensive when you spend it carelessly, and I spent too much of mine that way before age finally taught me that not every truth needs an audience. I was born in Willow Creek, South Carolina, in 1946, and in my house privacy was survival. My mother counted coins at the kitchen table at night when she thought we were asleep. My father came home tired and said little. We were close, but we knew not every hard thing belonged in public. I forgot that for a while. I got an education, built a business, raised children, and started thinking confidence meant telling people more than they needed to know. Honestly, that cost me peace. The first thing I learned to keep to myself was my regrets. Everybody has regrets. I surely do. I have made bad calls in business. I have trusted the wrong people. I sold stocks once because I got scared, and that mistake cost me money I would have kept if I had just sat still. I have said things to my children that I wish I could take back. I have judged people too quickly. I have wasted tears on things I could not change. You know what surprised me most? Every time I shared a regret with the wrong person, I did not feel lighter. I felt smaller. I remember sitting with a group of women years ago after a church event. We were eating pound cake and drinking coffee, and the conversation turned personal. One woman started talking about an old mistake. Then another one did. Then I did too. I talked about a business decision from the 1980s that I still felt sick about. I did not give every detail, but I gave enough. And I could tell right away that I had shifted how they saw me. I was no longer just Helen, the woman who had built something. I was Helen, the woman who messed up badly that one time. That is what stuck. Not the lesson, not the recovery, the mistake. And here's what I didn't understand then. Most people do not know how to hold another person's regret with care. They do not always hear wisdom. Sometimes they hear weakness. Sometimes they hear a story they can repeat later. Sometimes they hear something that makes them feel better about their own life. and they enjoy that more than they should. I am not saying never be honest with your spouse, or with a trusted child, or with one true friend. I am saying do not hand your worst memories to an audience. Learn from them. Write them down if you need to. Pray over them. Talk to God about them. Talk to the person closest to you. But do not turn your pain from the past into public material for people who have not earned your trust. I did not know it at the time, but every regret I kept retelling was also a way of making myself live it again. I was reopening a room I should have walked out of. I was reminding myself of the version of me that had less wisdom. Why would I do that? Why would I keep decorating my present with my old mistakes? At 80, I know better. I do not deny what happened. I just do not serve it to everybody who asks for a personal story. The second thing I learned not to tell everybody was my pain. Now I mean physical pain, emotional pain, private hurt, and those daily aches that come with age and life. You see, when I was younger, I thought sharing pain made people feel close. Sometimes it does, but often it just drains a room. It turns a pleasant visit into a report of everything hurting in your body, in your home, in your spirit. By the time people leave, nobody feels lifted. Everybody feels heavy. As I got older, I noticed something. Many conversations among older people became competitions in suffering. One person had a bad knee, another had a hip issue. Somebody else's blood pressure was up. Somebody had a cousin with cancer. Somebody had not slept well in weeks. I understand why that happens. Pain gets your attention. Pain makes itself known. But I made a choice that I was not going to let pain become my whole personality. There was a season when my back bothered me nearly every morning. I would stand at the bathroom sink and wait for my body to settle before I could move normally. There were days when my hands ached so much I had to pause before buttoning a blouse. And there were years when the emotional pain of losing people, watching friends get sick, and seeing my own energy change felt heavier than I liked to admit. But I learned to be careful with where I placed that truth. Paul needed to know. My doctor needed to know. My children needed to know when something serious was going on. Everybody else did not need a front row seat. Let me explain. When I shared my pain too widely, one of two things happened. Either people gave me empty sympathy that changed nothing, or they moved away from me because they did not want every conversation to sound like a medical file. And honestly, I could not blame them. Most people are carrying something themselves. They may care, but they do not always have the room. That does not make them cruel. It makes them human. I remember declining an invitation once because I was having a hard week physically. I almost started giving the full explanation. I almost listed all the reasons I was uncomfortable and tired and not up for company. Then I stopped. I simply said I would not be able to make it. That was enough. The world kept turning. Nobody needed the full report. That moment taught me something simple and powerful. Privacy can protect dignity. And here's what I didn't understand then. Repeating pain can deepen it. The more I spoke about every ache, the more I watched my life shrink around it. The more I named it, the more central it became. I am not saying ignore real medical problems. I am saying choose your audience wisely. Tell the people who can help. Tell the people who truly love you. But do not make your suffering the main gift you bring into every room. Bring your humor. Bring your presence. Bring your curiosity. That will carry you much farther. The third thing I learned to keep to myself was resentment. This one took me a long time because I can be stubborn. Paul always said I was stubborn. I preferred the word consistent. But resentment will sit in your chest like it pays rent there. It will make you rehearse old conversations while you are washing dishes. It will make you think of the perfect reply 3 years too late. It will keep a person in your mind long after they stop deserving space there. I have resented people. I have resented clients who wasted my time, relatives who showed up only when they needed something, and people who underestimated me because I was a black woman running a business in the South. I have resented people who smiled in my face and talked down to me later. I have resented people who doubted my success. But every time I spread that resentment around, it turned into gossip. It never turned into peace. I remember telling someone once how upset I was with a woman I knew socially. I thought I was just venting. I thought I was being honest. A week later, I heard that my words had traveled. Not exactly as I said them, not with my tone, not with the full story. They traveled as gossip always travels, smaller in truth and bigger in damage. I felt embarrassed. I felt exposed. And the resentment I already had was suddenly twice as bad, because now I had created a second problem. You know what surprised me most? Most resentments do not improve when they are shared casually. They grow. They pick up extra opinions. They pull other people into a mess that was never theirs. If somebody has wronged me and I need to deal with it directly, that is one thing. If I need counsel from one wise person, that is another. But broadcasting my bitterness does not cleanse it. It feeds it. I didn't know it at the time, but silence can sometimes be the cleanest boundary. I do not have to announce every disappointment. I do not have to explain every relationship that cooled. I do not have to stand in the town square and tell people who failed me. Sometimes I simply step back. I answer less. I stop inviting. I stop reaching. I let distance do the talking. And when something truly cannot be fixed, I ask myself one hard question. If I cannot change it, why am I carrying it like a handbag every day? That question changed me. I still notice wrong. I still feel hurt. But I refuse to let resentment become entertainment for other people. The fourth thing I learned not to tell everybody was my plans. Honestly, this one saved me from discouragement more than once. I have learned that a dream is often safest while it is still becoming real. Not every seed needs sunlight from the whole neighborhood. Some things need darkness first. Some things need quiet. When I was younger, I used to announce plans too early. I would talk about an idea when it was still fragile. I would mention a business move before I had all the numbers. I would bring up a trip before I had booked it. I would share a project before I had even started. And then came the comments. "Are you sure? That sounds expensive. That seems unrealistic. Why would you do that now? Aren't you too old for that? What if it fails? What if it doesn't work? What if you embarrass yourself?" Let me tell you something nobody told me at your age. A lot of people do not attack your plans because they studied them carefully. They attack them because your courage makes them uncomfortable. Your action reminds them of their hesitation. Your dream irritates the part of them that gave up years ago. I started new things later in life that I never would have done if I had waited for universal support. I wrote more, mentored more, and shared more of my story. If I had announced every idea before I built it, I would have had to carry other people's doubt along with my own work. I think about travel, too. Suppose I said to everyone that I planned to take a special trip, and then life changed, money changed, health changed, timing changed, and it did not happen. There will always be somebody ready to make a joke out of what fell through. There will always be somebody who says, "I knew that would never happen." Why invite that into the room before I even have a ticket? And here's what I didn't understand then. Talking about a plan can feel so satisfying that it tricks you into thinking you already moved. Sometimes the praise people give your future becomes a substitute for the work. I learned to protect my energy. I do the work quietly. I make the calls. I move the money. I handle the details. Then, when the thing is real, I let it speak for itself. I didn't know it at the time, but quiet progress is one of the sweetest feelings in the world. There is peace in building without commentary. There is power in finishing before announcing. And when something works, wonderful. When it does not, I have the privacy to regroup without an audience watching me wobble. Now the fifth thing, and to me the most crucial thing, is finances. Do not tell everybody about your money. Do not tell everybody what you earn, what you own, what you inherited, what your house is worth, what sits in your accounts, or what kind of cushion you have. I mean this especially for older people, and especially for kind-hearted older people. Because once some folks think you have money, they stop talking to you like a person and start approaching you like a resource. I learned this in a very clear way. Over the years, Paul and I built a good life. We worked, we saved, we invested, we bought property carefully. We lived below our means for a long time so we could live comfortably later. That did not happen by accident. It happened by discipline. But I noticed that whenever certain details became visible, people's behavior changed. Suddenly, acquaintances sounded warmer. Suddenly, people had ideas that involved my time, my hospitality, my connections, or my checkbook. Suddenly, somebody remembered they had always meant to call. Suddenly, someone wanted to visit, stay, borrow, discuss an opportunity, or tell me about a need that required funding. You see, money can make people imagine they are close to you when they are really close to what you have. That does not mean everybody is selfish. It means money changes dynamics. Even good people can get strange around it. Even family can make assumptions. Even friends can get comfortable spending what took you years to build. And if you are older, some people also assume you are soft, lonely, easy to pressure, or too polite to say no. That is dangerous. I had to learn to answer simply. No, that won't work for us. No, we do not do that. No, that property is for family use. No, we are not available. No, we are not discussing our finances. I say it kindly, but I say it clearly. Honestly, boundaries around money are one of the last protections many older people have, and too many give them away because they do not want to seem rude. Let me explain one more thing. Secrecy is not shame. Privacy is not dishonesty. I can be generous without being exposed. I can help when I choose to help. I can give with intention. I can bless people quietly. But I do not owe the world a map to my assets. So after all these years, here is where I have landed. I keep my regrets where they can teach me, not where they can define me. I keep my pain with the people who love me and the people who can help me. I refuse to spread resentment and call it honesty. I protect my plans until they have strong legs, and I keep my finances behind a door that not everybody gets to open. What do I share now? I share my love, kindness, sense of humor, stories, wisdom, memories, photographs, and time with the people who have truly shown up in my life. I share what brings light, not what invites judgment. The world does not have to understand every part of me. It does not have to know every private corner of my life. My job at this age is to protect my peace. And if this spoke to you, I want you to stay with me. I want you to think about which one of these 5 has cost you the most peace. Was it regret? Was it pain? Was it resentment? Was it talking too soon about your plans? Or was it letting people know too much about your money? Leave me a comment and tell me which one hit home for you, because I read those and they matter to me. And if you believe more people our age need this kind of plain-spoken advice, press like and subscribe. That simple support helps this channel keep going, and it helps me keep sharing what life has taught me the hard way. I do not come here to impress anybody. I come here to tell the truth as I learned it. So if you want more of that, stay close. There is more to talk about, and I would love for you to join me in the next one.